This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry.
Happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday to you and everybody out there.
That's it. It's a lovely Saturday, Easter Saturday here on WATA, All About Home Construction. We appreciate all of your listeners out there, both on the podcast as well as live here on the Saturday morning on WATA. Thanks a lot. And so, well, what's been going on, man? How you been?
Just working.
Good. Well, it's about time.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of bidding. Everybody seems to want synthetic decking now, I guess, because we've had the radio show on.
That's what we've been talking about the last
bad treated lumber out there. And but remember one thing: if you build your deck and you're going to spend the money on the synthetic decking, buy the tape to go on your floor joists.
Did you see that picture I sent you the other day? I got off the internet of the tape.
Yep.
Where the whole deck was like bowed out and it was all pieced together, but they had tape on it, so it was a good thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference if you're doing shoddy workmanship and you don't.
I'm pretty sure they were trying to use the tape to hold the deck together.
And don't have a chalk line, to keep things straight. And but it's important to pay attention to manufacturer specifications, whatever you do.
That's it. That's it. Right.
But the treated people aren't going to tell you to use the tape.
Mm-mm.
And so just go ahead and spend the money on it. Then that way you know you're going to have a deck. If you're going to buy a 30-year synthetic decking, why not have a decking that's going to last 40 years?
Right.
And like I said before, I did the research on how many children died from arsenic poisoning, and it's estimated 1 out of 1 million.
Right.
So that's not very good to change the whole industry.
Right. I mean, that's pretty low. I mean, I don't want any kid especially, but that's pretty low odds that, when you get to those low of an odds, the question is, was it really the arsenic that really did it,
Correct. I mean, there's other chemicals in it, we all grew up with copper lines in our house.
Right.
And realistically, copper is a poison.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do recommend you run your water for 20 seconds before you start drinking out of it.
Well, how many pipes are still soldered together with lead?
Well, my house is lead.
I mean,
because they didn't outlaw lead, I think, to 76.
Right.
But there you go again. The federal government didn't outlaw it in faucets till 2016. So the whole time you've been
drinking it,
lead anyhow.
Yeah.
And we did the show on the poison water lines. And,
right.
And the only reason we did that was trying to get an idea in what we were poisoning ourselves with. And I always thought that maybe lead had something to do with Alzheimer's.
There's a lot of people think that. I mean, there's some research that sort of backs it up. It's not a proven thing yet.
Correct.
But yeah.
And then we did the same show we did on galvanized water lines because, I never remembered anybody getting Alzheimer's with houses with galvanized pipe in them.
Well,
but galvanized pipe, as it rusts, produces lead.
Right. And I like to go down these rabbit holes. I saw this thing and where you can build this like a drink dispenser. Put your bottle of your fifth of whatever rum or whiskey in the top, and it looks like a little guy, and you turn a little knob, and it pours out through your cup. I don't know why I was looking into them, but they just look cool. But that's where I was like, a lot of those people make themselves, but they're making them out of galvanized, and it's, to me, especially when you have something like alcohol that's going to wear more than water, it's going to start to break that down. What kind of stuff are you actually going to be drinking?
Correct. About like drinking plastic.
Yeah, I mean that's it. But well, anyway, Randy, I have one quick question. We had from a listener I talked to over the week, and they had a tree to fall on their house, and minor damage. It was more of a gutter and a deck issue but they had to replace some of the shingles, and they were complaining, about trying to find the shingles that matched in color.
Well, there's a reason for that. It depends on how long your roof has been on.
Right.
Okay, because the aggregates are mined. They come out of a quarry, and they're busted up, into fine aggregates. And as that quarry goes through the stone, the colors change.
Mm-hmm.
Just like brick. That's the reason brick's so hard to match.
Sure.
Because it's a mined product.
Well, and also I think with shingles too, and even the best shingle is going to change color a little bit with UV rays.
Correct.
And so, anything that's even a year old is going to be harder to match. But the older it gets, 10, 15 years, it's almost impossible.
Correct. Even 5 years, the coloration is enough that you can tell.
Yeah.
So you might as well just forget it. Put the new ones on and live with the off color.
That was my recommendation. Is get what you can that's close.
It's not worth replacing the whole roof,
right.
Especially with the cost of roofs today.
Sure. Yep.
So
and this was like a little higher. I mean, it had a full basement underneath mine. I saw the picture, and it was just a tall deck, 12-foot deck or something. So it's not like you were really seeing the top of the house anyway.
Correct.
So that's where I was kind of like, just replace it. Just do the best you can. And
the only people that will see it will be you.
Yeah. And then Randy, who flies his drone over the neighborhoods.
Well, I don't have a drone.
Oh. Well, anyway, thanks again for listening to us all about home construction, Randy. That's what we need to do. We need to go get one of those GoFundMe sites and get Randy a drone.
Well, I would just crash it. I just couldn't fly it, so.
Yeah. Well, but all right. Well, last question I got for you before we get into the rest of the show, and then that is, it's almost April.
Yes.
So we've got a VFW breakfast next week. Is that right?
Yep. We will be having a fish dinner this month too.
That's
on the
right.
third Saturday.
Yeah.
May I say one other thing? Go hug your Vietnam vet, because yesterday was Vietnam Veterans Day.
That's right. March 29th. And yeah, for sure. And that's a holiday that I hate to even use the word holiday, right? That's a Memorial Day that we look back and think of, and it often gets overlooked. And so yeah,
it does.
Appreciate you pointing that out.
There are still some World War II and the Korean, but now the Vietnam vets are dying off as fast as the World War II were.
That's it. Well, all about home construction. Tell you what, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back in. We got a guest with us this morning,
yes,
Randy. We need to get into that. Thanks for listening to us. We'll see you in just a minute. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And hey, don't forget about the podcast, All About Home Construction. Wherever you listen to podcasts, share this with a friend, and we really appreciate that. And all of our live listeners, of course, if you want to go back and listen to something that we said or you missed, or you want to hear it again, go back and listen.
Or you want to ask us a question.
That's what it's all about, right? All about home construction. And we get quite a few Facebooks and emails. We got an email address, allabouthomeconstruction@gmail.com. And we get some stuff from time to time. And, of course, we always run into people, too. So we appreciate all of it.
Yes, we do.
So, well, Randy, I noticed we're not alone this morning. We have a guest with us.
Yes, we do. And would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Kevin Howard.
Thank you, Kevin, for stepping in. And I'm actually, Randy, I'm a little excited about this topic because
fits in your realm, doesn't it?
It fits in my realm, and it's also something that I'm curious, like how the industry has changed, in the last 20, especially 10 years. So and I'm excited about it. So,
and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Well, I do pretty much low voltage security. We do cameras, do Ethernet, set up the whole system. I also install Starlink satellite. Do a lot of troubleshooting. I got several companies I work with. We do troubleshooting. Say your printer quits working, your IT puts in a ticket for it. They escalate it to a company they deal with. They send it to me. I go fix it. I get paid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you know, one that's going to be a big one. It's not now because I looked it up. It's like $2,500 for Starlink.
Yeah.
And but you can get out anywhere you want to get out.
You can. Most of them I've had success with. When I install them, most of them are pulling down anywhere between 200 and 400 megs down.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they pull down. You get what you get. They are starting to have to throttle it a little bit because some of the places are getting real congested until they get more satellites up.
Right.
But for the most part, you know, you got a clear sky. Now, the Gen 3 doesn't have a motor. The Gen 1 and Gen 2 had motors in them.
So
now
track.
they're a stationary now. You pretty much, the app tells you to put it in a little square. You turn the satellite dish. You put it in there. It says it's aligned, and you're up and running.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I know satellite internet itself has changed so much through the years. You know, back in the day, especially here in the mountains, like sometimes that was the only choice you had. Mm-hmm. But I can remember when, you know, stuff like YouTube was really getting big, and you had satellite internet. You could watch one video, and you throttled the internet back because you used too much bandwidth.
Yep.
You know, and so for me, I've always been hesitant since that, living through that experience of you know, stuff like Starlink and stuff. But I know you know, to me, like gaming and things like that, you know, streaming videos and stuff for the internet, a lot of times any lag, and I've got kids, and so this is where I hear it a lot. Usually, if it lags on your internet when they're playing games, but apparently a lot of people are doing that with Starlink now. They're, you know, so the lag time is nothing like what it used to be.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of lag. I can remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm still
up.
running. What are you? You're right.
A lot of people are changing to it also because, like with your teams and stuff like that, when you're doing Zoom meetings, Spectrum, Zoom especially, if you have just like a little bit of glitch in your internet and it goes out, it'll kick you right off. Starlink so far hasn't been doing that.
That's good.
And that's what a lot of people up here are going to it for.
That's I mean, that's great for sure, and it's and I like the idea that you can get it, you know, essentially everywhere, and especially here when we you know, we have the county here. I mean, if we look at the high country in general, the surrounding counties included, there's a lot of places that you don't realize doesn't have fast internet.
No, it doesn't. Or some places doesn't have any at all.
Right. I mean, you know, like I remember like DSL back in the day when DSL was like, you know, the thing, and it's like you just some of the stuff that even that, you know, like I mean, dial up was back in the day. I feel like that's where we're going. You know, some places still, I think, still have that. And
About like all these phone companies advertising 5G, and you can't get 5G.
Right.
It's like here in town. I can be in town on my phone. I can have full 5G ultra wideband. Won't even open a page.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. But well, that's really cool, and I'd love to get into sort of the ins and outs of the house itself, but that's not the only part of your business. Then you do a lot of like you said, troubleshooting, and just sort of I guess home networking type stuff.
Yes, I pretty much I'll go in and pull the cable, set everything up, their switches, their APs, do the cameras, just pull everything at one time and do the whole thing. You know, if you've already got a pre-existing home, go in and pull a cable, fix what you need if you've got one down. You know, add a circuit. You know, pretty much do whatever you need done with it. What
would you say is sort of the average? So, and this is where I was saying, like, I'm excited about this topic because I remember going back 2000. I've told you before, like I've helped, you know, was helping my uncle build a log house, and I told him at the time, like, oh, you need to put Cat 5 in there. You should run this.
Go ahead and get it.
Yeah, we'll never need that, you know. And I remember it was right around 2000. It's like, but now it's like, who was right, me or him? Because there's a lot more wireless stuff these days. Yep. But then again, the wired stuff, Ethernet, is going to be a lot faster than the Wi-Fi. It's more reliable. So, like, what are you seeing in an average home these days?
Well, we're pulling Cat 6. So, I mean, everything gets Cat 6. And one thing I do also, like, if I'm pulling a drop to, say, your TV, I'm going to pull 2 cables. That way you've got one in there, there's 2 jacks, one's hooked up for a spare if you ever have a problem, so you're never down with it. Right. But yeah, it's pretty much all Cat 6 now. Sometimes fiber will come into a house, sometimes it won't, it might be at the pole. But yeah, everything's hardwired Cat 6 and just runs off a switch.
For some of our listeners that are out there that's doesn't have this set up, or some kind of fast connection cables, is that something that's easy to do in in an existing house? And
Oh yeah,
because that's what I've always been curious about. Is like, I mean, obviously it's going to be way easier if you don't have walls and insulation up,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like, how do we go back and retrofit? And I think going back
Crawl
to
space.
yeah,
Exactly.
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but you go back to the old days where you got your satellite TV and they just drill a hole in the middle of the floor and poke a wire
Right.
through it.
Now, something you can also do, and I've done this in the past in some homes where, they couldn't really afford to, say, have new cable pulled.
Mm-hmm.
If you have existing phone lines in your home and they're at least Cat 5, that's what they pulled, or Cat 5e,
Mm-hmm.
you can retrofit that and change your keystones at your wall plate and throw a switch in, and you can convert that into Ethernet.
Interesting. That's really, I hadn't thought about that because I mean, a lot of the last 20 years they've been pulling Cat 5 instead of
Exactly.
the old school phone lines.
Exactly. So you've already got Ethernet. You've got 4 pair in your wall already.
Right. That's cool. That's cool.
I don't know anything about wiring except 12.2, 14.2.
Well, some of this is, I mean, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's fascinating. But you have so many different options out there, and again, going back 20 years ago, Cat 5 was like the thing,
Yes.
and you say we're on Cat 6, and Cat, for those that don't know, is just category, right? Like,
And they're
it's just-
actually all the way up to Cat 8 now.
right.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be more for
Industrial,
commercial,
yeah.
Explain the difference now, if you would.
It's basically,
Is it a smaller strand wire?
no, it's
or-
basically a frequency and a higher strand wire. It's the frequency it'll carry for the speed it'll carry.
It's cool. It's cool.
Well, we have a internet provider and TV provider in the county that now says they have fiber optics hanging on the telephone poles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how can they go to fiber optics when they don't have nothing but copper up there?
That's the thing, too, and it's a lot of misconception people don't understand. When you've got fiber, you could be bringing in, just say, for example, a gig in on fiber. As soon as you hit that copper, you're only going to get what that copper will bring in. I mean, that's all you're going to get.
About 300 megabytes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I've been arguing with them for the last 2 weeks. I ain't going to mention the name, but because I have fiber at my house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have fiber now that you can get on that does 300 megs. I said, that sounds just like the old copper line.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it is, right? Like the, it's pulling off. And do you think we'll ever see fiber in houses, as far as complete house?
In the future, in my vision, what I see is when the homes get smarter than what they are now, they're going to require more speed,
Yeah.
more connectivity, more solid connectivity. Because I could see fiber being pulled through homes.
But I guess the cost has got to jump down a bunch.
Oh yes.
So I mean that's the biggest thing, right? With
Yes.
with fiber is the actual cost.
Yes.
And,
Well, what are they running from your fiber to your house now?
Copper.
Because I allowed them to bury the fiber optic through my yard or at the base of my yard.
well, it's funny you said that because there's so many. Like for instance, there's cell phone towers. There's several dotted around the high country, right? They've got their own dedicated fiber optic line that goes to that tower.
Yep.
So they may go through your yard, but you can't get fiber because that's not that's a dedicated for cell phone only.
Yep.
I know my parents have that. Luckily, it was on the other side of the road from their house. But where the family's at, my uncles and stuff, it's like there's fiber in their yard, but they can't connect.
Yep.
So it's cool. It's cool. But fiber, I don't know. To me, like the whole networking thing in the house is the way of the future because we're getting more and more things. We're advertising, Randy. Remember, you can tell your Alexa to listen to podcasts all about home construction.
Matter of
Right?
fact, Kevin, you can go home
Yep.
and after Terry gets it on the podcast and say, Alexa, let's listen all about home construction with Terry and Randy, and it come right up and
Yep.
you can listen to it.
Yeah, but that's and more though. That's where the industry is going, the home industry.
It is.
And I need to go get milk. What milk's in my refrigerator?
Yeah.
Like there's the smart home is here, but the more we add to it, like you said, the more it's gonna
Right.
more we need, I guess.
Well, I know Samsung, one of them, makes a refrigerator now that actually keeps an inventory of what's inside your refrigerator and tells you what you need.
Yep. I mean, it's.
Do you really want that though? Because
No.
The printer circuit board, if you have to repair it, it costs as much as the refrigerator did.
Exactly.
That's all right. Don't let Randy fool you. He's the guy that wants the smart toilet. So we'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this. Are you ready to level up your home construction game? Obviously, you've subscribed to All About Home Construction. Now we would like to ask you for some support. You can be like Dave, Bill, and Skipper and help support All About Home Construction. The links are in the show notes. That's right, All About Home Construction here on WATA. Speaking with Kevin Howard, Elite Cabling and Ethernet. Kevin, thanks again for hopping in and talking a little bit about we love. I mean, obviously, I love technology. To me, it's a fun. It's just fascinating. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm the old school guy who can, I want to live off the grid too one day. But it's really cool. So, one thing I was curious about, just to sort of stick with the cabling and Ethernet stuff, is in home networks. What is it you're seeing now, like in new construction, especially, or new renovations? It used to be that you put a phone line in, not every room, but a couple rooms, and and then run a coaxial for the TV, so you can get or cable or whatever. What is it you're seeing for home networks now? What is it someone should look into and think about?
Well, as far as if you're going to cable your home, for one, you can look at where you're going to have your TVs, where you're going to have your devices, where you're going to spend most of your time at. So that's where you want to have your main connections at. And most places that I do, we have at least 1 to 2 connections per room. I've even went as far as one guy had me put 2 connections in the bathroom. I wasn't sure why, but I did.
Hey, that's what they want.
You got refrigerators with TVs on them now.
Exactly. But yeah, it's pretty much everything has evolved and changed a lot. It requires more connections, more people, for gaming. So you've got to have a port for that. You've got to have a port for your TV. You got to have a port for a player. So yeah, you're having to pull more to one location than what you used to have to.
Even with, would you recommend that? Even though, I've got a Roku at home. It's wireless. It hooks up to the TV. I can put the TV anywhere in the house I want. Right. But now, I know what I think about this, but devil's advocate here is, well, why do I need to wire my house?
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's still practical.
It is. It's preference too, and it's preference of what you want. A lot of people still are old school. They prefer to be, wired in because they feel like that's the best speed they can get. They got a solid connection. Then there's more people that's more into the technology where they want everything wireless. They want to be able to come do this, do that, say, hey, do this, open the door, turn the lights on. So a lot of things is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to evolve more to being wireless.
Yeah.
Because the wireless that they're putting out now is doing more and more than what it used to do in the past.
Well, at one time, I don't know what it is now. One time, wireless was basically half the speed of the Cat 6s or whatever.
I know at my home right now, and we just use local internet, and we're pulling down almost 600.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just off of wireless.
Right, and for those that don't know, the higher it's pulling down, that, for instance, streaming videos, or you're watching Netflix or something, the more it's pulling down, the less lag. We've all turned the TV on, and that little thing spins around on the TV, and so. What kills me is when the voices get off of the picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
like those old Chinese dubbed movies.
Yeah.
But you have less of that with the more data you can pull.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's cool. But that's what I was curious is so you would still recommend going ahead and building an addition or a house or something, going ahead and wiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that way you can put a router in your room. A lot of houses, that we build, where we build them so doggone tight and insulation between the walls, it says it's not supposed to slow the signal up, but it does.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And so it is important. To me, it is important to hardwire all these points in.
And a lot of people don't realize, too, they'll see on the router, you'll have 2 networks. One will say a 2.4, other one say a 5 gigahertz. The 2.4 is not quite as strong a signal, but it'll penetrate walls.
Right.
Where your 5 gigahertz is a stronger signal, but it doesn't penetrate the walls like the 2.4 does.
So, well, you know the trick to that, by the way? You set all your kids' devices in the 2.4 and you set your devices in the 5.
Exactly.
I just let my secret out.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for years.
Got to keep them entertained.
But you've made a good point there, right? Is penetrating walls and that signal, even though it's wireless, you know, especially you put it in a basement or something, for instance, like it's not going to go through. And you know, it's sometimes you can stand outside and get a signal. Sometimes you can stand on the other side of the house and not get any signal.
Exactly.
And so what it goes through, what that signal goes through, is a big deal. And to me, one of the advantages of wiring a house would be, even, you know, for instance, I work outside a lot. Well, I can put an extender, range extender, on the other end of the house now. And so now I can work wirelessly outside with my phone or whatever.
You can also, there's various companies. I mean, I use Ubiquiti and TP-Link. And I just set up a guy in Gastonia where he has a diesel shop on his property, and I did a Starlink install for him, and he wanted internet down there, but didn't want to have to bury a cable.
Right.
I'm like, well, we can just set you up a nano beam. And he's like, a nano what? And so I explained to him what it was. And I mean, there's various options of, you know, how high end you want to go, how low end for your purpose. And it's basically the system I use is plug and play. You plug it into the PoE, mount it up on pole on his house. That is your AP. Then you have a station panel down there. It receives it, run it into a router downstairs, and he had plenty of internet. Pretty much his whole property where he went,
That's
between
awesome.
its Starlink and that, he had internet.
That's really cool. And you know, and again, back in the day, you put a telephone in a building or a workshop or something. You're running another line. You're paying
Exactly.
2 bills. And so it's helping to streamline a lot of that.
It is. I just went and did a job up in Virginia, and these people, they had a nursery. The original owners had phone lines that came out of the house, under the house, then they just went everywhere to every nursery. I was going through finding phone lines tied here, laying on the ground, and we're doing a VoIP install.
Okay.
I couldn't get anything to work. And so wound up having to, finally, after the 4th day up there, we found a pipe that goes underground behind his building, goes up into one nursery, and he let me pull through there so I could pull him a solid cable down there and put his printer, his phone, everything he wanted down in the shop.
Well, and again, you know, that home networking stuff is something that people don't think about, but it really, you know, more and more we're doing it, we just don't realize it.
It's
you know,
more taken for granted now because it's there.
right? You know, and again, tell Alexa to turn on the TV for you. You know, tell Siri to do this. You know, and then
Well, it's coming, and it's coming pretty fast.
yeah. So. Well, it to me, like I said, I mean, obviously, I love it. It's exciting, but you know, how many people now have doorbell cameras?
Exactly.
You know, I think more houses seems like they do than don't anymore, and you know, so and we'll get into security. That's a whole nother ball game. I'd like to talk about here in a little bit too. But you know, again, just more and more people starting to wire things together and or connect, not necessarily physically wire, but you know, connect the network and. On a normal house, like, so if you're going in now and a homeowner already has the house built, so we're not talking new construction here, what would you recommend as far as like devices and how would you recommend setting up a home network?
If they don't have the cable, for one, you got to pull the cable. You've got several ways. If they don't care about being, you know, hardwired, there is a lot of products out there like Orbi, stuff like that, Dream Machine, where you can go in and just set up a mesh network and you just set this little device on the counter and it runs off of where your internet comes in, so you don't really have to pull cable. If you're one that doesn't mind, you don't need a hard line. Now, a lot of these, too, they'll have a hard line, like a port in the back, that you can plug into them if you want a hard line off of it.
Right.
But, I mean, there's so many mesh networks out there now that you can just put them together and you can set your whole house up and not even really have to pull cable.
That's pretty awesome. But those hubs, if you will, those hub parts, are they expensive?
They can get expensive. It depends on what you get into. You know, pretty much your requirement for your speeds, what you're using it for. If you're just using it for every day, you know, watch your TV, kids play, something like that, you know, it's not going to be really expensive. But if you get into somebody that works from home and you need networking, you've got Zoom, you've got your meetings, stuff like that, you know, it can get a little expensive because your needs are a little more.
Right. Sure. Well, and you know, for me, I got 4 kids at home.
Yeah.
And so it's even just watching TV, well, there's 5 of us watching a movie, you know.
Exactly.
And so it to
You
me,
mean you don't have a TV in every room?
we got phones, dude. We don't need TVs.
Exactly.
You watch TV on a TV?
Correct.
Oh,
I've got 2 TVs and they're not even plugged in the room.
right. I mean, it's.
I like my 55-inch TV.
That's
I
all right.
can see.
I'm not gonna lie. I like my big TV too. Best thing I ever did was put the TV in the bedroom.
In the bathroom.
The bedroom now. Hold on. But I mean, everybody's walking around, and that's it, you know. And it's there's times even between the kids playing video games and watching TV. There's times when I bet we've got 8 devices streaming. You know, whether we're streaming video games or TV or both. And there's times when all of them have something going more than once. You know, they got a phone and a TV on.
Going from a thoroughbred to a mule.
Right? So, but the home network again is to me is just it's the way of the future. It's going to happen. You know, and more devices are becoming that wireless. You know, again, like I just mentioned, TV. Like you have some kind of Amazon Fire Stick, or you've got a Roku or Apple TV. That's that you can put anywhere in the house because it's wireless, and so it can go in. And I guess that's where I was going earlier. Was like, okay, 20 years ago, it's like the cutting edge thing was to wire everything, hardwire everything.
Yep.
But wireless technology is coming along now, so I guess it's a gamble, right?
It is. And people, like, especially if you're working from home, you don't want to be like, I've got to stay at this one spot all day long. You know, if I want to get up in the living room, go watch TV, I can take my laptop with me. I'm still connected. So, it gives you a little more freedom from the people that work at home, too, especially if they're taking care of, their kids or something like that. They're active at home, not just sitting.
Well, and working from home, this is a whole other topic. But people, with schools and stuff, remote schools, remote learning, remote meetings are never going away from this point on. And how many people do we know that live and work from their home now because of this? There's businesses on and off the mountain that, you go into the office one day a month, and collect your stuff. And I heard a thing, I don't know if there's stats on this, Randy, but I heard where Blowing Rock is getting a lot of people coming up that had second homes that are now putting that as a primary home because they're working from Blowing Rock, but they're off, they're working for a company in Charlotte or Raleigh or whatever. So
Right.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back right after this. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right, all about home construction here on WAETA. Again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. Speaking with Kevin Howard, Elite Cabling and Ethernet. Thanks, Kevin, for coming in. And,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
like I said, I love the home networking stuff, but I want to spend the next little break here talking about the security, because that's a big thing that's more and more common, I guess. More and more people are doing it, and it's both for security in terms of, someone breaking into your house and thieves and stealing your things. But a lot of people are also doing it to check on, pets or babysitters or kids or something.
Yep.
So what's your thoughts on, sort of that wireless security network?
Wireless is good. I mean, if you're using it just to look, like I said, at a specific area, like you just want your front door to be seen if somebody comes up, or you're not worried about seeing anything other than what the camera's looking at, then they're really good. And I know a lot of people that have the Ring. They use them in their businesses. We have them at a couple of lodges here. Preferably, I go with the wired cameras just for the reliability. You've got a cable that's hooked to it. You don't worry about your Wi-Fi going out. You've got a solid connection. And if you've got a larger property, and so you're wanting to see beyond, 20 or 30 feet, they have cameras out there, like the ones that I use. They can see some of them up to 100, 150 feet at night vision.
That's pretty awesome.
And, I mean, you can pan into them like we're standing right in front of each other right now. So, I mean, it depends on what you need it for, what you're going to use it for. Like I said, if you're just using it to check on your pet, Wi-Fi camera's perfectly fine for that. They've got thousands of models out there to use, something you can get on Amazon, anything like that.
Well, to me, for security's sake, it's especially the side that's close to the road. When you're looking down a driveway or something, if you're using it for security, it's nice to be able to get that license plate as a drive off,
exactly.
Things like that. And you see that a lot, and I mean, we're all if you're on Facebook and got any kind of friends, half the time you see this. We're looking for this car. We're looking for that, but that's how you can get a good picture. The more information you can get from something like that, the better off you are. And so, why take a risk of it? Why spend the money, I guess, and not be able to get the benefits?
Exactly, because you see a lot of the pictures when they do that. You see the picture being real jerky, it's really slow frames, or it's got some lag in it. That's the Wi-Fi, not a stable connection. And like I said, for my preference, if you're using it for security, I'm going to wire it for you unless you want, something different, because you've got a solid connection. That recorder, whether you're hooked to internet or not, that thing's still going to record. So as long as you don't lose your power,
right,
you're going to record.
Are you seeing a lot? Because I know some of those systems, save it up to a cloud somewhere, and so you have to have the internet. Is there a lot of systems that still have the home recording?
Well, a lot of them, like the ones I use, they come with 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte hard drives to save. You can offload them onto another storage device. So, I mean, there's a lot of options other than having to use a cloud. If you're in a business or something like that, I can see using the cloud where you want to store it at. Right. But just a homeowner, I mean, you can buy a storage device. It's like, say another 2, 3 terabyte or something like that. Also, set your cameras to motion. That way they're not recording 24/7. Because that will just eat your memory up and eat your storage up like crazy.
Sure. Well, I mean, it especially at the more resolution like that you said, the better camera you have. Well, it's kind of neat. And what are you seeing though? Like what, the Ring, the doorbell cameras are kind of popular.
Right.
Are you seeing though, like house, put one on every corner of the house kind of thing? Like what is it you're seeing in terms of what people want? I guess it just depends, right?
It honestly depends on their budget and what, like I say, what they need it for.
Where they're at.
I mean, it's kind of like a fad with anything. Ring first come out, everybody started getting them. Then, when these Orbi systems and mesh systems started to come out, everybody went and ran and got them. So it's kind of like a fad thing. Everybody wants what's new.
Right. Sure.
And so, as me as being a contractor, I have to stay up on that.
Right.
And it's a lot of homework, but as far as what everybody wants, it's a preference. Everybody wants somebody at, something at their door they can see who's out there. They can basically pick their phone up, look at it, and say, okay, this is who's out there, because it doesn't send a notification to their phone and turn it on.
Right.
So you get immediate response by it. So if you're somebody like that, say elderly or somebody that's home by themselves all the time, by all means, it's a great product. It does what it's supposed to do.
That's cool. Well, what about the home automation side of security? Turning on lights and
right.
even opening or shades on windows.
Now, see, a lot of that's home Wi-Fi. That's all wireless stuff for the most part. It's all everybody connected to the network. So, like, you'll have your, say, door lock. You've got to connect it and program it to your network. Then if you want your lights to come on, that has to be programmed to your network. So everything has to be programmed into your network so it works.
Sure. So we see a lot of TV commercials, ADT and things like that, where there's a company that, someone breaks my window and it calls this company and this company calls the police. Is there any systems? Because I know back, especially in the 90s, there was systems that would do it from yourself, like from your house. That system would call 911 or call the fire department.
Exactly.
Are you still seeing systems like that, or is most of the systems now through a company?
I think most of them are through a company. I haven't personally installed one like that. I know like a lot of your businesses and stuff,
Right.
that's the way they're set up now. Because they'll have a POTS line that goes directly to the fire department or
Right.
a POTS
Yeah,
line
we
going
got,
straight to the police department.
One house in Ashe County that we had set up with one of the local security companies, and we had several cameras around, but we had a blind spot, and the blind spot happened to be where their hot tub was, and so those people knew how long they could sit in the hot tub before the law got there.
Wow.
And so we ended up having to add another camera just for that spot right there.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty wild how people will just try things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. But, I love it. I mean, it's cool to go and you know that security and like you said, maybe I just want to check on my cat while I'm at school. You know, while I'm at work, or did that package get delivered?
Yep.
You know, that kind of
Exactly.
Well, that's being a big thing now is package theft.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of always has. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just now more people are ordering, which means there's more available to steal.
Exactly.
Well, the only problem about that doorbell is it doesn't get all the way out to the road.
No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean but some of those systems too, though, has communications. It's not just video. You can talk through.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of those are more and more starting to go that way. Where someone rings the doorbell, I can pick up my phone and talk through an app, and you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy that rang the
Yep.
doorbell.
Exactly.
And so, which is funny because back, I remember as a kid, we had a friend who had this, I say friend, it was a family, like mom and dad's friends, but they had an intercom system in the house, and it was from the 70s or
Oh, yeah.
whatever. And if I remember as a kid, that was the coolest thing. And I believe it never worked, at their
Right.
house. But we're kind of still doing that. It's just
Yep.
new technology.
We do. Commercial side of it, one company called A-Phone. I mean, they've been around for years and years and years, and that's basically what they are. They're an intercom system with a camera on it. You just push the button, they say hello, they can see who's out there, they open the gate and let you in.
All right.
So yeah, it's still the same, but the technology has just got way better.
Well, and again, I can remember when we thought we would all be carrying around a big tablet throughout the house.
Right.
Was it like 2007, 8 through there? I think is when I first saw it, and it's like the size of like an iPad essentially, that controlled everything.
Yeah.
But we still do. We just call them phones now.
Exactly.
It's just
There's an app for everything.
Yeah, we finished a house in 2006, and they had like an iPad.
Yeah.
That had control of 400 movies.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I ever seen an airless mouse, where they could just
Yeah,
move their hand
yeah.
in the air and scroll through their TV.
Yep.
That just blowed my mind. See,
And now
Coming
every
from a
phone
lot.
has it.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's cool technology, and but just like with any technology, right? Is the more that's available, the cheaper the price comes down.
Exactly.
It's we those early adopters, if you will, when it comes to technology. When technology comes out, it's expensive, but the more people who buy it, the cheaper it gets.
Yep, exactly.
It really is. It's a weird thing in that, but cool. So, Kevin, thanks again. We're getting ready to wrap things up here, but how do people get in touch with you?
yep.
You can call me on my number. It's 828-266-5476. You can also get me on my email. It's elitecablinganethernet@gmail.com. And something I wanted to do also, if anyone calls me and you have me come look at something and I do work for you, if you mention you heard me on this radio station, I'll give you a 10% discount.
Sweet.
All right, we thank you.
That's what we like. Everyone should give you a call. If you missed that number, we'll put up on the Facebook. Of course, you can also go back and listen to the podcast too. So, well, thanks, Kevin, for coming in and
Thank you.
keep us updated, man. Let us know what's the new.
Absolutely.
We're waiting to hear the new next thing. So, let us know.
I see Randy all the time.
Well, thanks again, Kevin. We appreciate it.
Sir, thank y'all.
And Randy, I guess happy Easter.
Happy Easter to
And-
everybody out there.
That's
Absolutely.
it. That's it. So have fun. Enjoy your weekend. April, I think, is almost officially here. So another month in the books. But thanks for listening to us. And Randy, I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast edition of All About Home Construction. We want to thank Skipper, Dave, and Bill for supporting the show. If you're enjoying this episode and you want to help us by creating some more awesome content, there are a few ways you can show your support. Subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. This actually helps us reach new listeners and climb the charts. And please share this episode with your friends and family. Word of mouth is always the best kind of advertising. You can support us directly through our page on Spotify. The links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening to us.